Hey everybody, welcome to week 9 of TV history. Again, I'm sorry for canceling last minute last week. I just had something personal come up. Nothing terrible, everything's great. It's not a bad thing, but I was not going to be at home for the time for class, and there was no way to work around it. So, here's your rundown for this week, okay? You have reading, Chapter 9. Chapter 9 is a little long, but it's a lot of case studies, so you can kind of look at those as you go through it if you want to and look at them in depth. Some of them are really interesting. This week, also, your lecture video is on the FineSyn and PTAR, the Primetime Access Rule kind of regulations. So you can, sort of gloss over those sections of the chapter if you want to, or like use them to read with the video, however you want to do it. So it's up to you. It's a good chapter, lots of interesting stuff at this point. For our class on Wednesday, we've got 4 TV shows to watch. One is an episode of Mary Tyler Moore Show, which was, and you'll see this in the text, kind of this formative show and really like broke open independent production on television for the networks. You also tied into that, but also going back to our discussions on race and representation and our current discussions on independent production. We're watching an episode of Sanford and Son. We're in fact watching the pilot episode. So you'll get a taste for that show if you've never seen it. I quite like the show. It has some of the same problems of the things that we've been talking about. It's still created by a white person. But the role of independent production in network television really starts in this moment and starts to be the space where black creative talent can appear in front of the camera regularly. You can have an all-black cast as well as a little bit behind the camera. And that show specifically is sort of figured as a star vehicle for Red Fox, who, 20 years earlier in the late 1950s had been this like extremely controversial stand-up comedian. Who really made his name on what they used to call stand-up records, party records, because you would play them at parties, and actually they were mostly banned, and it was kind of this underground trade system. Anyway, Sanford and Son is that show. I kind of pulled a pinch hit and put an episode of Mission Impossible in, because, I assume, have not actually seen the Mission Impossible TV show. If you're a fan of the movies, which are great, I love them, you'll notice it's quite different. The show is much more team-based than the movies are. I mean, the team is in the movies, but it's really Tom Cruise's show, right? Mission Impossible really is more about the team. And this week's episode that I gave you, The Killer, is one of the better ones. It has some of the same things you might expect from 1970s TV shows, budgetarily. They're not like hanging off the side of skyscrapers and stuff or doing these crazy stunts, but it's fun. And then the reason that I programmed that in last minute is that we're watching an episode of The Carol Burnett Show, and it's a good one. Carol Burnett Show, it ran forever, 12, 13 seasons, might have been 15 now that I'm thinking about it. But the Carol Burnett Show was a sketch comedy show built around Carol Burnett, who's kind of like this brilliant comedian who had a real talent for not only being funny herself, but surrounding herself with kind of this company of very funny people. So if you've seen Mel Brooks movies, you'll probably recognize a couple of the actors, especially Harvey Korman, who was kind of the other key ingredient for Carol Burnett's talent here, and was in a lot of her sketches. The way that sketch show works is a little different from something like Saturday Night Live. So it's not just like a variety of sketches. It's, the first part will be like an extended monologue, maybe a short sketch. In this one, it's Flip Wilson doing part of his stand-up act at the time, and Flip Wilson's like a brilliant comic and one of the first major black comedians that had crossover into the mainstream. And then, so it'll go that little first bit. And then there's an extended sketch in the Carol Burnett show that takes up the rest of the runtime. It's a short show. It's like 25 minutes. It was a half hour, right? So that extended sketch in this episode is a parody of Mission Impossible. So it will be helpful to have kind of the rhythms of Mission Impossible under your belt to watch it, and perhaps that make it a bit funnier. Then we just have our Zoom session on Wednesday at our regular class time, 4:20. And we're going to do a voice thread assignment. I'm going to play around with the due date because I'm still formulating exactly what it is I want y'all to do. I had something, but I'm trying not to make things too repetitive, and so I'm going to switch it up a little bit, and then we'll play around with the due date, and, it'll be fine. But it's all going to start working now toward your final papers. So, start thinking about shows you want to talk about, the angle you want to take. Remember, it's all about text context. And, we'll spend at least a little bit of time this week talking about your approach to your final projects, okay, as we gear up to do that. Your tests, I know this video is going on and on. Your tests, your scores will be up tonight at the latest Tuesday morning. I've got a few more to do. They're great so far, as I expected. You really always do your best work, and I really appreciate it. And I'll get your grades to you very quickly, as soon as I possibly can, with giving everything kind of the full consideration, okay? Nobody has made a bad grade so far, and I only have a few left. So everything will get posted soon. It's been almost 7 minutes. I'm going to quit rambling. I'll see you in class.